Hello, welcome back. Is my mic working this time? It is. Hello, welcome back to another One Piece stream. It's been a while, hasn't it? I think it's been a few weeks. It feels like it anyway. I don't know, time's a flat circle. Hello, I want to yap about a few things, and then it's One Piece time. And tomorrow the SAO game demo releases, but it releases at a weird time, so I'm going to stream it on Tuesday. But I am streaming it. So Tuesday, there's a stream 100%. Guaranteed. Where's my chat? I don't have my hold up. Chat, there it is. Hello, Koroto. It came to my attention that there's a football event. I've got literally no idea what that means. I've got no clue what the hell a football event, no idea. Do you think you would have won against the Nameless King if you defeated every mob just once? Are you trying to slander me about not being high level enough? Is that what you're trying to do or implying? I'd be careful if I were you. I'd be very, very careful if I were you. Koroto slander will not be tolerated. All right, let me open my tabs and we'll start yapping about things. Where is Where I saved a news story. Hold up. Where's the news story? Look at what I found. Date handsome cockroaches in a new dating sim from one of Japan's leading pest control companies. I saw this. I thought it was a mistranslation. From the country that gave the world a pigeon dating sim. Huh? Oh my god, what are these things? It has 4,000 reviews. Comes a short romance game starring cockroaches. Summer in Japan means many things: the dazzlingly vibrant fireworks displays, the refreshing seasonal treats, and sipping on some cold beer in some of the country's most stunning beer gardens. However, the hot weather also brings forth some unpleasant critters, and while mosquitoes have been a very prominent presence in daily lives with the incessant itching their bites cause, cockroaches are an even more unwelcome sight to see in your house. Now, in Latvia, we don't have cockroaches. At least I don't think they are anywhere near. I have never had cockroaches in any place I've lived or anyone I've known. So this is just not a thing. I do remember I was, I don't know if that's what you call a cockroach, though. Cockroach. Is it the same thing? Oh yeah, these are the small boys. What are these things? I was like on a summer trip. And I distinctly remember I was going to the bathroom like in the middle of the night, and one of these things was chilling on the floor, and I literally screamed. Now, granted, I was like 7 years old. So, you gotta cut me a break. I'd never seen one of these things. Bro, this thing might as well be an alien to me. These things don't exist. But man, maybe they do exist in Latvia and I just don't know about it. The German cockroach. I don't know. Do cockroaches exist in Latvia? They do. Cockroach issues in apartment. I have never seen any cockroaches. I have never had anything even remotely close to cockroaches. I guess I'm stupid because I always assume it's like the huge ones. Brother, what the hell is that? Anyway, it's no surprise that there is an assortment of pest control products targeted specifically toward these summer villains. I love Japanese packaging so much, bro. There is a whole light novel on this single product. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And surprisingly enough, there is not a lot of English on this one. My favorite kinds of Japanese products are the ones that have janky English on them. Those are the best. With all the new things, the company often spends a considerable amount of planning and effort in their marketing. I mean, I guess it's working, bro. I saw a cockroach dating sim, and I got interested, I guess. Jesus Christ. Available for a limited time from June 4th until September 3rd. So if y'all want to play this, better get on it. How does this work? 4 distinct handsome archetypes. A clumsy prince, an innocent younger brother, or a fine traditional gentleman. Okay, but they're not cockroaches. They love dark, damp spaces, beer, and onions, while despising mist, citrus, and lavender. Okay. This was a plot twist I was not expecting. Bro, it's Aaron! I had not read this far. Brother, what the hell is Aaron doing? In addition to the game that is available to play, there's a campaign running until June 17th. Brother, what the hell? Can I enter this? Can I win one of these sets? If you reply to a campaign post with your thoughts and impressions after playing the game, 10 lucky winners will be able to get their hands on an exclusive autograph. Bro, do I need to play a cockroach dating sim to get an Aaron Yeager autograph? Is this what my life has become? Do I need to play... I don't think you can do this outside of Japan. I would gladly play a handsome cockroach dating sim if it meant... But it wouldn't be like an Attack on Titan sign thing. It'd be like a weird sign thing. Right? What did it say? I mean, this just says autograph board. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. There are no comments on this. I'm sure people are very excited about this. Have you seen the movie Joe's Apartment? No. It was banned to the outskirts of my conscience, but the word cockroach triggered and brought it back. I don't know what that is, no. But what the hell is this? What the hell is this? Luxury houseplant fraud. Man, there's a whole world out there that I'm not even aware of. Luxury houseplant fraud. Brother, what? That's crazy. So today we have learned that if you want a shot at a signed Aaron Yeager thing, you have to play a cockroach dating sim. This is the world we live in now. So stupid. So stupid. I mean, maybe this is why it popped up for me. Because it probably saw that it was the Attack on Titan guy. Maybe. Who knows? I almost spilled my coffee. That's great. He's dual platforming to increase his level twice as fast. That's cheating. It doesn't work though. The whatchamacallits, the check-in things, those are between 2 different accounts. It doesn't work that way. I could think of a way to merge them probably, but it's too complicated. I'm not doing that. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Also, there was a new batch of alien files. Look at this. Guys, do you think these are aliens? The Pentagon has released a new batch of UFO files. Look at this crazy UFO. And look at this thing. Bro, that's wild, isn't it? But the thing is, I got 2 more. This is not a doctored image. Not a doctored image at all. These are top secret. There's another one. Haters will say it's fake. Haters will say it's fake. But it's real. Appa loves this thing. It's like a weird cardboard thing. Where is he? He constantly sits on it. This thing. I need to buy him more of these, because, like, you can already tell there are holes in it. He has ripped whole parts of it out. And he is chilling on it all the time. There he is. An alien ship. It's real. It's real. This thing, though. Look at this. Kyoto Animation's new anime Sparks of Tomorrow. A mechanic boy and a sake brewery girl search for a special book said to predict the looming age of electricity. This sounds so cool. Let's look at the trailer. I saw this. This might be a big watch. It's also gorgeous. This could be peak. Sparks of Tomorrow. Netflix. Is it based on a manga or on what? This looks very interesting. If they take, oh, is this it? Yes. It's a light novel. This could be very interesting. This is the first time I'm hearing of this, so, like, I don't know if the light novel is good or if it's popular or anything. But this is something that... I'm lost in Ava pictures, give me a second. The whole idea... I still need to watch Orb, I assume it's the same thing. But I think we need more stories exploring the transitionary period between, like, two eras of technology. We don't have nearly enough stories about this. It's always like sci-fi stuff. But why can't we have something that is like semi-historical as well? I find all these stories so cool. Looks goated. Early 20th century Japan. I'll watch this. July 5th. Fascinating. Fascinating. I lost another tab. I was going to talk about something else. Where's my tabs? I lost my tab now. I guess I lost my tab. Okay. Okay, we'll talk about this. Actually, another thing. I have gone on another binge. Now, you might know that, like, right now, recently, The Backrooms came out, right? And everybody's obviously praising Kane Pixel for working on this, for it being, like, a cool movie and everything else. However, me being a loyal OG YouTube enjoyer, I know that there is a much bigger name out there working on much bigger products. That someone is, of course, Charlie. In the Hunger Games movies. Right? Famously. District 8 Medic 1. Famously. Charlie as one of the most important characters in the Hunger Games movies. Now, the thing is, I had never actually seen all of them. I vaguely knew what they were about, and I remember, like, this was early 2010s. When did they even come out? Yeah, 2013, 2015. I remember there was a time where... I saw, like, a bunch of things about the Hunger Games. They were very popular. I don't know. There's a new movie coming out now. I remember seeing a trailer for it. I think it was for Project Hail Mary. It was airing before the movies. So I'm gonna watch that too. I watched all the movies, including this prequel, right? And it is with great displeasure that I announce, I think the movies were kind of mid. I think pretty much every single other, like, high stakes game bit of media has done a better job of exploring it. Like, I think the whole... Because if you don't know anything about the Hunger Games and you only know about, like what it eventually became, right? Because I think for most people, the Hunger Games are associated with only the Hunger Games themselves. But in the Hunger Games universe, the whole idea of the Hunger Games is, like, super political, and basically it's a measure of keeping those, like, 12 colonies under the boot of the big capital, right? It's like a whole thing where they host these Hunger Games, they scare everybody into basically falling in line, yada, 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 right? And from that point of view, there's a lot of promise in the universe, and it seems interesting, right? But the actual Hunger Games themselves is, like, the middest mid of all mids. I really didn't like it. Like, I think the original, even like the old Battle Royale, I think that was better. I think like Squid Game knocks it out of the park compared to this. And generally, I think of all like the high stakes game genre is probably one of the weakest things out there. Like, Katniss's character is just flat and boring to me. And the whole romance they put in there was also kind of mid. Frankly, I was more interested in like the villain side of the story. That's pretty much it. I think of all the movies, Catching Fire, the second one, this is by far the best one. But it's not 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's not. This one was the most fun, but everything else was just kind of. I do wish we got to see more of these kinds of stories, though. I very much enjoy high-stakes games, like Kaiji, Squid Game, all these things. I very much enjoy, like, the dark, gritty storytelling, but there is, like, this morbid game aspect. I find that so interesting. Frankly, I think, to an extent, I think even Platinum End did things better than Hunger Games did, which is, frankly, a ridiculous thing to say, considering it's Platinum End. But yeah. This prequel was also super, super disappointing. It was so boring to me. All the characters in these movies are so boring. And I don't know why. It's like they're all just so flat. And just not even doing anything, which is weird. Like, all the side characters are better than the main characters. What was the... It was played by Elizabeth Banks. Hunger Games. This right here, top 5 characters in all the Hunger Games. Maybe even top 3 characters in the Hunger Games. Very, very mid-adventure. Very mid-adventure. Would not recommend it. The news of the Colossal Titan... What the hell are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about? Very interesting video from Clark Eliason about the Backrooms 4 years ago. It still comes to mind every now and then. The Backrooms is a very, very interesting property in general to me. Because, it's one of those weird things where... I'm just thinking back. I can't think of another property that is truly as open source as the Backrooms. I guess you could say like SCPs, right? Because that's another thing that is completely, no one owns the rights to anything. But SCPs haven't really hit the same critical mass as I think the Backrooms has a movie now, right? SCPs have always been popular, but like, you don't really see anyone doing super, super big with anything super, super big with it. Because think about all the weird advertisements you saw from brands about the Backrooms. You can't normally do that, but because the Backrooms is just a completely organic internet age thing, literally everybody can do whatever they want with it. And like, if anything, I think it brings up a very interesting conversation about the actual media like sphere that we exist in now. You know, because like realistically, this is how most people approach these IPs nowadays. Like this whole clipping culture, everything. Like implicitly, we are approaching the idea that these hard walls of what you can and can't do with an IP, they're pretty much already gone. But there's still a lot of these super old laws, like even copyright law, right? I've talked about it a million times. It is so outdated for modern internet that it's frankly incredible that we can even do anything. But when you contrast all of that to what's happening with the backrooms thing, I'm almost interested to see if this is one of those flashpoints that eventually will look back and be like, that's where things finally started changing regarding... Whoops! I opened my AirPods and my PC thought that I was playing it on my iPhone. Whoops. I'm sorry. If the backrooms will be the thing that people look back on and be like, that was the thing where, like, media as a whole and how people look at IPs and what people can do with IPs started to change. Because, like, brands, marketing with the backrooms. Look at this! Imagine the marketing person going to... Not even the marketing person, like... Whatever. I guess it would be the marketing person going to, like, the manager person and being like, listen, we need to do this with the backrooms. And the manager would be like, okay, do we have the rights? Like, can we do this? And the actual marketing person is like, we don't need them. There are no rights. We could just do it. And the old manager is sitting there like, what do you mean we could just do it? Well, we can't. Well, we need the rights. I don't think anything like this has existed before. At least top of mind. I can't think of another IP that has hit this kind of critical mass. Is Slenderman an SCP? I don't think so. Is Slenderman an SCP? I don't think so. I think he's just... I mean, I assume people have come up with some kind of nonsense that it might be. But I don't think it is. I know that there is a SCP anime happening. I don't think it's an official anime, though. I think it's like a fan-made one. Yeah, this one right here. Oh, it's a short film. So this is happening. But again, it's still nothing close to the scale of the backrooms. It would be very interesting if somebody, say, like, wrote a novel, and just put it up, like, on the internet. You know? Without these rigid... But I don't know how publishing works on that front. This is where things get complicated, like... Because I'm just thinking, didn't Markiplier also talk about, like, how he wanted to put his movie up on YouTube? And there's, like, a bunch of things, what you can and can't do, and then, like, who gets the rights to what, and yada, 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 yada. Even then, things are complicated. Right? So, like, I think if you want to secure something as still owned by you, but still have it open source-ish, I don't think you can realistically do that. Because with the backrooms, like, nobody really owns it. Kane Pixel just popped off with it. But I don't know. I don't know. What if I write a novel and just put it on the YouTube's community page? Just like the whole thing. Maybe. Maybe. What do you think about the Harry Potter series? I like the Harry Potter series. But I think with the Harry Potter series, I have like a lot of nostalgia. I think the biggest thing, like now that I've gotten older and I just know more about how things are made, the thing that is most perplexing about the Harry Potter movies is that they even exist. To imagine filming 8 movies back to back to back to back to back with the characters aging as they age in the actual source material accurately. Now there is like a slight deviance because I think in the movies, by the end, Harry is like the actor of Harry. He's a little bit older than he's supposed to be, but still. Oh, you mean the HBO series? I don't know. I'll check it out. But I mean, I don't really know. I think they made a trailer, right? I think the trailer's already out. I don't know. I'll take a look at it, but like, I don't think it's gonna be. Like, I think the movies were lightning in a bottle. I don't think you're ever going to be able to do that again. I think the movies were very much like a one of a kind. But the movies are crazy. The fact that they even that they were even made. Like nowadays, bro, we're struggling to make a TV show for 2 seasons. They were, I don't know what they were cooking back in the old 2003, 4, 5. They were pumping out movies every year. To be fair, the same could be said for Capcom with video games. They're pumping out Resident Evil like it's freaking, I don't know, 2K. Capcom is out here making video games with like the release cadence of Rockstar in 2004. Is that true? When was the year where Rockstar was pumping out games like crazy? Rockstar video game release calendar. 2005. I was mistaken right here. This is where they were pumping out games. I mean, 2001 was crazy. Lord of the Rings is even crazier that the whole trilogy even exists. I mean, Lord of the Rings is another one, yeah. Lord of the Rings is a goddamn marvel that it was just, again, shot back to back to back to back. I'm telling you, I don't know how these studios were moving back in the day. They were just making bangers. It was crazy. You think we're doing too much things that are just okay-ish now, but not enough high-quality stuff? Honestly, this is something I've thought about making a whole video about, because this is where you get into very, very complicated, like almost macro perspective views on technology, gatekeeping in terms of access to media, and all these different things, right? Because let me try and condense this in my brain. So, one of the things that we have now, again, with the backrooms, for example, right? A lot of media and a lot of creation of media in general has been incredibly democratized, right? I think Backrooms is an excellent example. It's a thing that basically happened on the internet and eventually rose to become a Hollywood thing, right? And I'm sure you can come up with more examples that are kind of like in between the lines of like, it's kind of a media property already, but it's also kind of popularized by people, right? Back in the day, you couldn't do this. The only way where you could have like an actual big brand do anything with you was through contacts that were pre-existing, and then it would cost you like $1 million, right? So we have this very, very weird situation where on one hand, we have infinitely more creative visions and we have infinitely more capabilities of doing something that is incredible. However, back in the day, there was a gatekeeper that filtered out a lot of low quality stuff, but also filtered out a lot of very, very high quality stuff because it was like too experimental, it was not right for the political climate, or it did something that is not meant for whatever the hell, right? Like, come up with any kind of dinosaur take you could come up with, and that's something that a gatekeeper would filter out, right? So it's kind of a mixed bag where I think nowadays there is a lot more slop, right? Just across the board. On everything. Music, cinema, everything. There is just more of everything. But I think in terms of, like, the percentage of good things is lower, but the absolute quantity of higher quality things, I think, is absolutely higher, right? And I do think this is true for everything. So no, I don't think like back in the day it was a situation where somehow we were just making incredible things. I think we're still making incredible things. It's just that back in the day, there was less noise. So instead of remembering all the flops and all the 7 out of 10s, we remember Lord of the Rings, which was perfect, right? That kind of deal. There's also an obsession with perfection or achieving close to perfection. That's the problem with Bethesda. That's I think much of that comes from the fact that the stock market and the way people view financial markets has evolved to a ludicrous degree. This is a completely different tangent. Like nowadays, and you will see this with Rockstar, you'll see, I mean, even with Nintendo, we just talked about this, right? Nintendo had their event. And judging by the internet, everybody seemed to enjoy the event. But if you look at their stock, it fell off a cliff, you know? So when it comes to releases and when it comes to like this perfectionism and everything else, you have a very, very complicated interconnected web between the expectations of investors, like quarterly reports, and then actually releasing a thing which may or may not already have like pre-existing expectations behind it. So the stock market currently, for example, right? It works off of like second or third order derivatives. So it does not matter that you are successful. It matters whether or not you are more successful than my expectations of your success, right? And that kind of deal. So say Grand Theft Auto makes $1 billion, right? But the investors were actually expecting it to make $1.1 billion. The stock is going to collapse despite it being incredibly successful. Right? So when we get to something like Skyrim, now Elder Scrolls 6, there is a very weird situation where they can't really even release something that is going to meet your expectations, because the expectations of like both the players, the stock market, and everything else is even higher than the like expectations of their expectations. You know, it's like a derivative that needs to be met. And so we have these ludicrous production timelines because no one really knows what the hell is going on, and we somehow need to like reinvent the wheel. That is, I think, less so to do with media and the like the industry of media, if that makes sense, right? Like, I don't think a lot has changed on the production, even though like a lot has changed on the production front, where like a lot of people are now using CG, and that is like changed production timelines, everything else. I think like zooming out, much of the things that we see around the properties that we like and how they've changed in terms of what comes out, what doesn't come out, I think that is a maturing industry type of deal, rather than just actually making it. It's complicated. It's complicated. Ironically enough, I think Avatar is another good example where like the movie leaked and nothing happened. Because there is something behind the scenes, something with financial, something with legal obligations, something where they're just kind of moving with their hands tied behind their back. Whereas if you look back at like, I remember watching the Back to the Future movies for the first time, and the second released movie at the end has a trailer for the third movie and a release date. Like, think about watching a movie now and having like the whole thing already in the movie. It's crazy, isn't it? But nowadays, like, because everything is planned out like a bajillion quarters in advance, like companies are just kind of, they don't have the freedom or the agility to move because everything is just so massive. Are you overanalyzing the current media zeitgeist? I think I started talking about the Hunger Games movies and how they're mid, and then I somehow got to talking about internet-created IPs. I don't know how that happened, but it happened. It's interesting to me, because this is the blurry line between... I've said this before, but I think a lot of people have a very, very rosy picture of what art is, right? The stuff we consume, One Piece, Game of Thrones, whatever. The things we watch on the internet. Very little of that nowadays is like art. Most of it is a product. It goes through many different hands, many different gatekeepers, many different people who like make changes, yada, yada, yada. Right? So I think a lot of people have a very rosy picture of what media even is. And this is like the part that is interesting to me. How the whole industry around what we consider art and what we consider like creative ventures has evolved in the present day. Because obviously things have changed. And ironically enough, this is also why I think like manga and anime are super interesting mediums, because they have infinitely more control in terms of an individual. Right? Like, compared to even novels that are written by a single author, they still have, I mean, it depends on the mangaka. Like, a lot of mangakas nowadays also have many editors, right? Like, they have whole teams. But with manga, I think on average, you have like more input from an individual person as opposed to like a Western novel, for example. You are art to me? I know. I know. I might as well be a statue. Anyway, that was a very, very long tangent to say that Hunger Games, very mid, Backrooms, very cool. Very cool. That's the end of my rants. I guess I could actually talk about this as well. Hold on. Let me make sure there wasn't anything else I was gonna yap about. Capcom has entered a golden age. True and real. Very much agree with that. Okay, I don't know what that is. Have you seen Obsession? No. No. I was gonna watch it, but I haven't gotten around to it. I was going to see Disclosure Day this week, but I'm seeing people say that it's kind of mid, and I'm thinking like maybe I don't need to rush to the cinema. Lots of people are saying the movie's kind of mid. Capcom is doing what Rockstar did in 2005. Capcom right now is like, I don't know how the hell this happened, but Capcom, I mean, I think they turned the ship around completely with Resident Evil 7, and since then they have just been unrelenting. The thing that blows my mind is Resident Evil 4, even now. They took, like, the most beloved game that everybody was like, this is going to be a disaster if you try remaking it. Like, it's going to be a disaster. You're not going to match the OG. And they just dropped, like, one of the most fire video games of all time. Crazy to me. I think of all, like, developers right now, Capcom is the one to watch. Like, in terms of everything they do. FromSoft and Capcom are, like, the two devs where I'm like, I'm watching y'all, I'm watching y'all. Now, granted, with FromSoft, I do have beef with FromSoft. Because what the hell are they doing with Night Rain? And when I say what the hell are they doing, I of course mean nothing. Today I found that there's a new Spielberg movie called Disclosure Day. Yeah, the trailers look really interesting. And I have long been a proponent of the fact that we need more alien media. I want more alien stories. I think they're so cool. Now, granted, I think a lot of people are very much stuck on, like, the Independence Day type alien scenarios, and no one really explores it in depth. I've said this before. They already made the best alien show. That's why they're not making another one. It's called Falling Skies. It's with Noah Weil, the actor currently in The Pitch. This guy is the GOAT. Such a good actor. Very, very good show. I want more alien stories. Whenever there are alien stories, I'm locked in. Like I said, I have top secret pictures leaked by the Pentagon, by the US government right there. Caught this myself. Obsession is the best movie of the year. A lot of time has passed that people are taking back their positive opinions on. A common thing that Twitter does all the time. Oh no, I haven't seen it. I'm gonna watch it at some point. Is it out on digital or is it in cinemas? Obsession. Digital release date. It's not currently available, I guess. Digital streaming June 25th. That's next week. Almost. I'll watch it. Hail Mary reminded me of my love of sci-fi. Hail Mary reminded me of the hope of life. I was watching Project Hail Mary, and I talked about the same thing when I was reading the book, too. I realized how little, or rather how few, feel-good stories there are nowadays. Project Hail Mary gives me hope. It's like Hopium the movie. And the book. Alright, one last thing. I've been meaning to talk about this forever, so I'm gonna talk about it now. I was going to do a tier list, but then I realized that I don't actually remember when which book... Grammar. I don't remember the point at which every book ends and the new one begins because I binged most of these. So, I want to talk about the series Dungeon Crawler Carl, right? Ignore me misspelling dungeon. This series has absolutely popped off recently. It's getting an adaptation of some kind, I forget what it is, but basically there is a thing happening. So I'll try to remain as spoiler free as I can, because this is genuinely a book that shocked me when I read it. I went in knowing nothing. Ideally, I would recommend doing the same thing. But basically, the idea of this book is it's kind of a blend of things like Log Horizon, Sword Art Online, and I guess a little bit of Hunger Games as well, right? Like the political aspect. So the way everything begins is a guy is chilling, aliens land on the planet, they do all kinds of sci-fi nonsense, and suddenly he is stuck in a game, but the game is actually kind of real life, right? And originally it just seems like a typical whatever the hell fantasy anime type of thing, right? Kind of boring, but very, very quickly you start to realize that the actual story of this goes so far beyond the typical, just like this is a video game story and we're going to be watching a guy get powerful. It's like a power fantasy. And it leans very much into like actual societal commentary and what these kinds of things are in general, right? So it takes like a very Squid Game approach to this, or again, like a Hunger Games approach to this. So you start reading the books, and there's like this whole angle of an AI is puppeteering the whole thing, but the further people get into the game, the more like unhinged the AI becomes, and then you learn that this whole thing with the AI is not just that it's puppeteering the game, but that this whole thing is actually a TV show that is being broadcast like across the whole galaxy. So basically, this whole thing, this whole apocalypse, this whole video game that he's stuck in is actually a TV show. And he is a dancing little monkey dancing for the people, right? So he goes through like this whole game, and very, very quickly the story pivots from just getting stronger and trying to survive in the game to trying to survive in the game, which by the way is very self-conscious. Like, I don't know what is the obsession with telling video game stories from people who have seemingly never played a video game, right? Like, I even crash out about this with SAO, which I love SAO, right? But goddamn, a MMORPG where a guy solos a boss, what the hell are you talking about? Is delusional. Now, granted, in the whole SAO universe, it kind of makes sense, right? You later learn about the whole Kayaba thing and like the whole AI thing as well, where like, you know, they were trying to extract the human consciousness, all that. Okay, it makes sense, but it's still kind of stupid. This book series, it's written by a guy who likes video games. There is a lot of exploits, a lot of cheeky little things, a lot of references to video games. There's a lot of pop culture media references as well. But still, it eventually very much pivots into like a it's absurdist, right? So it tunes a lot of things to like 11. So whenever it's exploring something that is like mildly like exploring the ideas of capitalism and what happens when you take the idea of capitalism to like its absolute extreme end, it plays it up to like such a comical degree that I think the message of it all can get a little bit lost in the waters, where it's kind of like, what the hell am I even reading? So a lot of the time, like, they're talking to someone who is, the idea is that it's a complete fake, it's a persona, like this whole thing is fake and all of us are just dancing little monkeys. But the way the book depicts them is like a monstrous weird being with random claws or whatever the hell, and you're just listening to the description of this character and you're like, what the hell am I even reading? So sometimes it does go a little bit overboard, I think, with the whole absurdist nature of it, but the idea is still very interesting in terms of how it deals with that. And again, the further you get into the books, the more it becomes about deconstructing the game to its absolute roots, and then eventually, of course, they start revolting against the game, right? In terms of writing, I do think there are a few weird things, especially with the later books. Like, the way a lot of the books unfold recently is that there is a big plan and it's not revealed to you until the very, very end, and it just feels like very formulaic recently. It's kind of like that there's a whole thing cooking, you don't know what it is, and then the main guy comes up with a plan, and that does get a little bit samey. But still, the whole big universe, very interesting. Every single time, like, characters are yoinked off to like off video game interviews, and they like start making these political jabs, all of these crazy movements in terms of to better their own position in the game. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot to mention. So a very, very big angle here is this whole thing is again a TV show, right? And one big thing about this game is that they need to attract sponsors. So in terms of how they present themselves and what kind of persona they play, it's like the same thing people talk about with reality TV and how like nothing is real. Again, it's very much about capitalism, about media and all these things, right? There's a very, very big emphasis on how they portray themselves, who they interact with, and what kind of story they are telling. So every single time there is like a grand plan, there are almost like 2 or 3 different narratives going on at the same time. And that is always just so cool to watch unfold. Because on one hand, it's a death game where everybody is dying, but at the same time, they need to pretend that they are these wacky, goofy beings and maintain this persona that like, oh yeah, this is a game, yada, yada, yada. And the third thing is like a whole different legal thing where last floor, they cheated, and now there's like a whole lawyer character, and they need to figure out how they're going to maneuver through this whole thing, and now they can't even talk about certain things, and the AI is going crazy, and there are just so many things going on that it's an absolute joy to read through. Again, I binged the whole thing, so I can't tell you which parts were the best parts and which parts were like just wacky goofy. There are many, many emotional beats in this as well, right? Because when the AI showed up, the world was destroyed. So it's also like an apocalyptic story. So there are many, many chapters lingering on who the characters were before. And it's not just about like the character they play. It's also about what they are sacrificing, about losing themselves, and eventually falling prey to the games as well, right? Like, again, a very Squid Game thing. There's like a whole slogan about the games will not break the main guy, right? Because it's just pushing them further and further and further to the point of forgetting who they once were, forgetting the people that died, and all these things. It's a very, very interesting series. A much better Hunger Games, basically. I don't want to talk too much about spoilers, because it's a very wacky read-through. What I will say, though, is I very much recommend either the audiobook, or now they are doing full cast, like audio production. Which, by the way, another thing, unrelated, I know. I am shocked that in the big 2026, adapting something into a fully voiced, like, audio experience isn't an actual form of media. I am perplexed that this has not become a thing. Watching something that is fully voiced by a full cast with sound effects and everything, brother, that is so immersive. I don't understand how this is not like the next evolution of books. We had audiobooks. Why not, like, bridge the gap between TV shows and audiobooks and have, like, a audio TV show? It's infinitely cheaper than making a TV show, but it's so immersive. You have, like, all the voices, you have all the different characters, you have all the different, like, sound effects, everything. It'd be goated. Why don't people do this? It'd be glorious. But yeah, very much enjoyed this. I don't know how it's going to end. I think the next book is coming out next year. They're coming out relatively quickly. The series only started in 2020. We are on book 8, right? Parade of Horribles. This came out like last month or something. Very good series. Very, very good series. Finished book 5 a few weeks ago. It's been a while since I read such an intense ending. I think at least the last 150 pages have been full tension. One thing that I do think the series does a little bit too much is pull its punches. Right? Because it feels like Matt Didiman is introducing so many characters, and I think this is another like problem I have with it, is this series is undeniably a high stakes game in terms of genre, right? Again, Squid Game, Hunger Games, Platinum End, Kaiji, all these different stories, right? But despite characters a lot of the time being in danger and them being like yoinked off to certain locations, it does feel like there is a lot of plot armor around certain main groups, let's say, right? There is a lot of gore, a lot of death, infinitely more that again, it becomes almost comical to a degree, right? In terms of like the number of people that are dying, the number of gore scenes and everything else. But I do think it pulls its punches. I do think we are severely missing a gut punch. There have been gut punches in terms of emotional moments between the characters, but there hasn't been a true gut punch. At least not yet. There is one that is very close. No spoilers. There is one moment that is very much a gut punch, but it's not like a gut punch. Book 5 is my best book and second best book in the series. Last one is my favorite. I liked parts of Parade of Horribles, but it wasn't my favorite, I think. This Inevitable Ruin, I think, was my least favorite, because I think it just had too many things going on. And I think a Parade of Horribles, it was, like, parts of it were also really, really exhilarating, because it does feel like we are nearing the end game, right? Now with Book 8. But I do think parts of it were also weirdly bloated and just kind of weird to follow. But again, I don't remember where each book starts and ends, I'm going to be totally real with you. The whole thing is a complete blur in my brain. And also, there's a lot of mystery in these books. There's lots of things that are still left for you to figure out. Some of them are kind of more on the nose than others. Like, I think you figure out a lot of the AI stuff, I think, fairly quickly, right? Like, what's going on with that. Even though, if you haven't read the books and like, still haven't picked up on it, I haven't spoiled anything. So I would recommend still reading it. But there are still a lot of underlying mysteries that are left to figure out, even by Book 8. It's a fun series. Like, I don't think it's anything truly groundbreaking or anything, right? But it is a very, very fun exploration of the genre, and generally a really, really enjoyable book series. I had a lot of fun with it. I'm eagerly waiting the 9th book. It's another series that is inspiring my own second book. My main novel is currently in the editing phase. I'll never release it, but I have written a full novel. So now I'm editing it. And I'm also writing a second book, which I will also never release. And that one is, I've talked about this before, I'm way more happy to spoil this one. The second book I was writing was a blend of, it's also like a video game story, but it deals more so with the in-between of what happens in the real world versus in the video game. That is a constant back and forth, right? Because that is something that I think is severely missing in a lot of these stories. But I have written a whole novel. I did it just for fun. I'm never gonna release it, unless somebody convinces me to. But I have done it. Been missing a true gut punch, which is crazy, like 5 books in. Yeah, I do think there are a lot of, like, very, very... Considering a lot of the absurdist humor of the series, it is kind of crazy how some of the moments just come out of nowhere, and they are gut punches. Right? Like, the whole dynamic between the two main characters, sometimes it gets absolutely... It's rough. Like, I'm sitting there listening to the most insane... wild, wacky story ever, and it's actually sad as all hell. But there hasn't been like a true gut punch, I think. Day 1 of Koroto convincing to release his novel. It's not done yet. I'm editing it. I'm going through it again. And it's only book 1. It would be much, much longer. One day. I started writing the second book, because I was like, the first book is too complicated. Because the first book that I'm writing is like, he's basically grand fantasy. There are like, I guess there are like 5 main point of view characters, but really there are like 12 or something. Yeah, I think it's 12, like, in terms of main point of view characters. And I was writing this book, and I was like, bro, so complicated. So then I started writing a new thing because I was like, I can't handle this. I need something else. But I did get it done. Now I'm cleaning it up, adding a few more chapters, and then it's gonna be done. I've been looking into some writing lessons, or are you just going for it? No, I'm literally shooting from the hip. Nothing I have ever done in my life where I have been even remotely good has come from grammar. Let me rephrase that. Everything that I have done that I have achieved even a moderate amount of success in, both academic and like with YouTube and everything, I have just shot from the hip. Every single time. I think I am just somebody who learns by doing. I think I'm always way better at just smashing my head against the wall and figuring it out. It's the same thing with editing, with everything. I don't watch big tutorials, read big books on how to do things. I approach it in a bit more of a surgical way, I guess. I'm shooting from the hip. Are you a gardener or an architect? Once again, as with all things, the answer is right in the middle. I do know exactly how this thing ends. I had the ending in mind the moment I started writing it. And I know all of the big plot points. I know everybody who dies. Big surprise, the guy who likes stories like Attack on Titan and The Walking Dead. Yes, my novel is filled with death and misery. Is glorious. And yes, I had the same thing as Robert Kirkman, where one day I was like, they need to die. I don't want them to die, but they need to die. And I unironically spent like 2 days mourning the death of my own character. It was kind of glorious. So that did happen. But the middle parts of it definitely grew over time, yeah. I wouldn't really say anything went crazy off the rails. It was just like I got a better idea of the world that I'm building, and then I just expanded it a little bit more. I think it's still kind of mid, though. That's the sad part. Like, I have been, like, this is an idea that I've basically had since, like, 2019 or something, right? So it's been years where I have been randomly daydreaming about a fictional world. But the sad part is that I go over it and I'm like, bro, this is kind of mid. That's the worst part. Because, like, I have literally spent hundreds of hours on it, and I look at it myself, and I'm like, this thing is mid as hell, bro. Like, how did I even make this? Why is it so mid? It is kind of sad. But, I mean, it is what it is, I guess. Anyway, let me open up the One Piece tab. Y'all ever spend hundreds of hours on something only to realize that it's mid? Because I do. It's very sad. You're starting with your magnum opus right away? Of course. Shoot from the hip. Shoot from the hip. Believe in foreshadowing? I mean, with a novel, foreshadowing is very different. If you're writing a novel, you obviously, like, even if you develop things later on, you can always go back and change them, right? Because a novel is like 3 seasons of a television show at once. You kind of have foreshadowing on easy mode. Still, though, it is kind of sad that when I look at it, I'm like, bro, this kind of mid. It's a very sobering experience, I will say that. I wish I had, like, the confidence of people just, like, cooking something up and just like, yep, that's it. That's it. Putting it out there. I am my own biggest gatekeeper. The ultimate one-hit wonder? I mean... Okay, it's time! Chapter 1185. Mind your own beeswax. What could possibly be the context behind that? I can't wait for Luffy to eat this. Hancock practices her cooking. I mean, she's literally just cooking giant hunks of meat. Which I guess lore accurate, but how much practice do you need for that? Realistically. I mean, I don't know. I guess a little bit. But you could just get like a thermometer. It's very easy, actually. You just need to master like one method. Okay. Let's go. Okay, we are still in the Brook flashback. We are still very much in Brookland. Kendall, I want you to take Brook as a squire and teach him proper manners and speaking etiquette. Of course, Prince Reuven. Oh boy, there's sure a lot of pretty ladies around the palace. Pretty lady, skip that one, pretty lady. That's not a nice thing to say. What do you mean, skip that one? That's a very rude thing to say. Stop that. But you're the prettiest of them all, Kendall. Lady Kendall, you're my squire. Guys, I still don't know what to think about Kendall. I still think there is something very, very sus going on, and inevitably, I think we're going to see a twist. Why is Brook already a gooner? Brook! Brook is already a gooner. Crazy. You don't like your uniform? If I conform to school culture, I'll lose my touch for writing good music. But the convoy uniform, now that's what I want to wear someday. So he's a hippie. I mean, I guess that tracks. Look at him sleeping with the guitar. Very cute. Very cute. You're a lucky kid, you know that? You get to be Lady Kendall's squire. Are you in love with any particular man, Kendall? Lady. And yes, but he is far out of my league. Suspect. Very suspect. So I trained very hard with the sword so that I might be as close to him as possible. I'd bet he'd like you if you dressed more ladylike. That's not necessary. I'm happy simply being at his side. His side? Are you talking about me? No! Yeah, I don't know what to make of this whole thing. Lady Kendall, do you wear men's underwear too? No? What? Then show me them. Brook! You still haven't learned my any etiquette. When asking a favor of others, you have to speak politely. Then, would you mind showing me your panties, please? What is the lore reason behind him being a never-ending gooner? Of course I mind. Forget speaking politely. I need to beat some manners and civility into you. Good grief. Strength and etiquette are equally important. Really? Then I'll do better. I'll try harder. Lady Kendall is the light of our admiration. The sun shines upon our country. Sus. Which reminds me, One time, a ship from the world government washed up on Asperia, and the kingdom was stunned to encounter a type of authority we had never experienced before. The celestial dragons? That's right, they certainly threw their weight around. Lady Candel was bedridden for several months after that due to fatigue, and you wouldn't believe how gloomy the people were during those months. Yo! I shouldn't laugh, but it truly was as if the sun itself had set. What a funny thing to say, isn't it? When the celestial dragons showed up, and generally were miserable, it's as if the sun had set. I don't know if it's just meant to be like a very on-the-nose thing, or if it is pointing towards something more concrete and something more tangible. I don't know. It could very much be just a vibe going around, right? Because we've seen nowadays the vibe of the sun encompassing freedom and all this, like it's showing up constantly, right? So we'll see. However, that was only the precursor to wonderful news, Princess Shuri. Your father, the beloved uncouth what is uncouth? What does this mean? An adjective used to describe someone or their behavior who lacks good manners, refinement, or social grace. So Brooke, okay, ascended the throne, and at the same time, he married your mother, Lady Candel. The stage of Asperia was engulfed in the cheers of the audience. And then you were born. Princess Shuri, the kingdom was all in a tizzy. Show us her face. Ain't she so cute? Thank God she takes after her mother. I got a bit off track there. My point is, I love your parents dearly. I owe them everything. I would give my life for them. I call this one Sacrificial Rock. Brother, what the hell happened here? This must have been like the craziest betrayal ever, like top 5 anime betrayals. Are we about to get a new Watch Mojo list? What could have possibly happened here? Well, Brooke, would you do it if it was me in danger? The same thing, of course. I would give up my life. Yes, indeed. Because I'm Papa and Mama's daughter? Because it's you. Why did you pause? Be honest with me. Papa! Father! Don't be a child! I love you too, Father. He's very cute, but what the hell is going on? But what the hell is going on? I'm just like reading this, and this is like... Where does everything go wrong? When you want to be independent from your parents, why not sing a song for a change, princess? Mind your own beeswax. Huh? What's that supposed to mean? It's a phrase from Kamigacha, a land to the west. Mind your own beeswax. I mean, I think a lot of people say that, to be honest. I ain't some puppy dog lured by the candy store. I ain't a kid at all anymore. Okay, all this is very, very wholesome. It's very wholesome. Like, bro was practically a dad. It's crazy. But what the hell happened? Also, Brooke... I assume this is some kind of like super royal gathering or something, and Brook just being weird there and then getting kicked around is very goofy. I will admit that. Also, very stupid question. My eyes unfortunately just like do Photoshop editing on the fly. Why is that's like a little first aid kit, right? Have first aid kits in One Piece always had like an X rather than a cross as it typically does? Because like the X is for Chopper, right? It's probably always been like that, and I've just always been like, oh yeah, it's a first aid kit. Have I actually spent years watching and reading One Piece and never realized that the first aid kit is always the same thing as Chopper's hat and everything? There's no way I'm actually stupid, right? We need to read a particular part of this chapter differently, but we'll talk about it after you're done. Right now, I am just very much like... This is too good. You know? Like, everything right now is just going too smoothly. Nurse's hat is an X2? I'm just now realizing, hold up. One Piece medicine. One Piece, first aid kits. I mean, what the hell did I expect, bro? One Piece manga doctor. I'm not stupid, that's a cross. Wait, so why is it... Hold up. That's an X. That is not a cross. That is an X. It's nothing. We're being stupid. It's nothing. It's just a slightly different rotation of a symbol that means nothing. There is no need to overanalyze. Something like that. Smoker's giant box? What is Smoker? You mean the thing that he was pulling on in the ocean? There was a big X on it, yeah. No. Anyway, it's nothing. Moving on. The year that Shuri turned 15. What the? It sounds awful! Esperia lost its music. One Piece is suddenly grimdark? What? It sounds awful. Esperia lost its music. The kingdom shrouded in a deep and terrible mist that lasted for half a year. The country's heritage, its treasured instruments, all rotted, and the mist curled into a smog that swallowed the island whole. Okay, that is very cool. This is one of those things, it's like the same Expedition 33 thing, of just suddenly something going terribly wrong, Esperia lost its music. This is the kind of just completely off the cuff, grim dark-esque fantasy shenanigans that I love. From that point on, the streets were filled not with music, but the sounds of coughing. Let's lift their hearts with Makov. Oh, heck yeah! The poisonous smog racked the lungs of tens of thousands and took several hundred lives. The mist will clear. I know it. I mean, the only thing with the mist that comes to mind is like the Florian Triangle, but why would the Florian Triangle suddenly decay everything? That doesn't make sense. Right? It could be some kind of wacky science shenanigans like polluting the environment, which would make sense, right? Because like world government and everything. That would make sense. Them just like destroying a whole population basically accidentally. Interesting. Florian Triangle is also on the Grand Line. Hesperia is in the West Blue. That we know of. Florian Triangle could move. Maybe. Probably not. In the face of many baffling and horrific events, the kingdom grew weary and numb, and even after the mist lifted, the scars it left were felt deeply by all. Guys, Kendall might not be a celestial dragon after all. Unless... Your Majesty, we can no longer afford to make the heavenly tribute payments to the world government. I mean, it doesn't make sense that it would be the world government, right? Because, like, why would they be wiping out? I mean, losing... Okay, let me lay out my thought process right now, because I'm very much, like, scrambled by this flashback. So, Hesperia lost its music. I've talked about many times before. I do think that there is something that is very, very important in the essence of music and dances and all these different forms of like culturally passing down history, right? It's not like written history in the sense of okra, but through dances and through songs and through basically legends, myths among these people, they pass down a version of their history and a version, like the essence of their culture and their beliefs, right? So music in the world of One Piece is obviously incredibly important. That is like undeniable. So when you see Hesperia lost its music, obviously my mind immediately goes to, well, this was the land of music, and we have this whole thing of they create these wacky, goofy songs, and we have Brook right here, who we eventually know turns out to be very important with, like, Bing Sasaki and everything. So, wiping out music makes sense. But if they were already in a deal with the world government, and they were paying the tribute and everything, why the hell would they wipe them out if they were a part of their already existing network? Right? That's interesting. Clang! Whoa! Sometimes it's as if you can see... Sometimes it's as if you can see into the future, princess. I want to be like my... mother. Very sad, but she clearly has observation hockey. And I still don't know what's going on with her eyes. You certainly have the potential, but I don't think your father will allow a princess to fight on the front lines of battle. Father seems to have something weighing on his mind these days. I can imagine what it's about, but there's nothing we can do. My only option is to serve the king faithfully. I thought you wanted to be a pirate, Brook. My orders comes first. Dreams are a secondary matter. So, he wanted to be a pirate. Oh, okay. Well, when you leave, I'll go with you. You can't! I will! Guys, why couldn't Oda actually give me a cool story between, like him and her? Like, bro, it'd be so cute. Like, we would actually have Papa Brook and his little apprentice who constantly wants to be by his side. It'd be the cutest thing ever. Why? What the hell, bro? There is going to be a war against the world government. Understood, Majesty. Wait, Captain! At least tell us why, Your Majesty! Brook. I mean... Brook is very based. I'll give him that. Imagine going to, like, your king and bro is just like, there's gonna be a war basically against, I don't even know what you would call it. He's like, understood, Majesty. Yep, it's happening now. We are popping off. Why can't Oda give me a good, cute story while Koroto going all the time, Candela is sus, so she'll betray everyone? No, but the whole Brook thing could have been so cute. It'd be like Chopper and Robin. It'd be so cute. Brook. They demanded 1,000 slaves from us. Huh? That's the only way to get out of the heavenly tribute this year. Being a slave in the Holy Land might as well be death. Oh no! The government will be coming here in 2 months. But I'm not going to choose sacrifices to be handed over to them. I mean, okay. Very interesting inversion to Harold's story just recently, right? Because Harold's whole thing was always having to balance between the good of his people and the suffering of the few, right? So he did make lots of sacrifices to ensure that his people as a whole thrive, right? This is a whole thing we talked about, how he was a good king. He made many mistakes, but he was a good king. But with this guy, I mean, on one hand, bro is unfathomably based. They come over here, try and ask him for slaves. He basically tells them to get lost. Brook, lock the hell in, we're fighting. But at the same time, 1,000 people versus, realistically, most of them. Very interesting conversation to have, right? Very, very interesting inversion. I do still find the whole clothing thing very sus, though. That is something that I do find extremely suspect. Why does chat think Vinsmokes are involved? Yeah, Vinsmoke tech, I mean, I don't know how far back it goes, but, like, Vinsmoke tech could always be a thing, right? I just don't necessarily know, like, what the intersection between all that would be. Vinsmokes are north blue? Aren't they west? North blue. You are right. Yeah, it is north blue. Yeah. For some reason, I thought there was talk of them crossing from west to east, right? With Sanji. It's north. So no, it doesn't make sense. It wouldn't be here. It's also to make up for the Heavenly Tribute this year, meaning it would be an annual thing until they could pay again. Yeah. And I mean, bro just said we're going to war. That very based. Very based. Bro was like, we're not doing this. We're not entertaining this. We're locking the hell in. Very, very based. I do think it's no coincidence that it is the land of music that will fight back and revolt and like fight until the last man. I don't think that is a coincidence, by the way. I think Brooks Island will be like, I think there's a reason why it is wiped out. You know? I'll read the next pages, but I do think there is going to be a situation where basically they never give up. They just go down, and that's it. Is our country doomed, Captain? Unaffiliated countries turn into lawless wastelands, don't they? Is it true that they'll pillage everything we have? I heard another country in the West Blue got wiped off the map. Well, I heard a little story once about a sea brimming with violence, where the boss don't want to go, full of samurai warriors and towering giants. So, watch out. Why is bro talking about Wano? So watch out for all of them. Give them a little bite, and they'll be weak in the knees, like they're running from a swarm of bees. And better think twice, 'cause we got nothing to lose. Ha! Yup, that's true. Yeah, see? I think they were wiped out because they refused to bow until the very, very end. It's probably like a situation where they're going to be going around being like, shut the hell up, stop singing, and they keep singing, and then they're executed one by one by one. I think that's what we're going toward here. In Zoe, they revealed Sanji was a part of the Vinsmoke family. Brooke was scared and said Vinsmoke. That name sends a shiver down my spine. I mean, I don't necessarily... This is one of those things where I'm always very confused about the information asymmetry in One Piece, right? I don't know how much other parties know about other locations. I have a very, very hard time always, like, mapping out what Oda intends for us to know and other characters to know, and then later on, because, like, one of the things that has always kind of bugged me is... Luffy doesn't care about many things, right? This is a fact. So Robin not telling him many things makes sense. But in doing that, a lot of things that Robin knows, and Robin is a point of view character, are also kept from us. So we always have this weird quasi-information asymmetry where we know things, but they are never told to us because we live behind Luffy, right? So when we have someone like Brook, I don't know what he knows about. Like, if he's talking about Vinsmokes, I don't know if this is like a legend he has heard, or it's something he has personal experiences with, or whatever. I've got no idea. Because I do think information in One Piece has always been kind of inconsistent with who knows what. Especially with us, the readers. I think that is like the biggest example of us always being kept in the dark. Germa is an empire from 300 years ago, so I think the name is just a big legend, and if Brook had a royal education... Yeah, this is what I mean, right? I don't know if this is just something he knows vaguely, or it's something he knows personally. I've got no idea. Could be a legend, could be a myth, could be anything. It's like the same thing with the sun god. You know? Like, lots of cultures had the sun god, but we only started hearing about it quite late in the story. That kind of deal. Where because our perspective is always like semi-molded to what the story needs, it's very hard to say how common knowledge is about certain things. The dials is another one, like forms of technology. Anyway, moving on. They've landed at the harbor! Get over there, 12 platoon! Mind your own beeswax! They didn't say it would be this many of them! Don't let them disembark! Mind your own beeswax. We're only in the corner of the map, but our name won't be erased just like that. This is one place you can't steal from us. That is very cool. That is very cool. I'm very curious to see how the anime does this. Yeah, like, I'm just imagining a scene that is entirely led by music, and we are just seeing a war. That would be cinema. I love the whiplash and the contrast between Brook just being like this funny thing of mind your own business, and they are literally fighting for their freedom. Like, they are fighting to make sure their people are not turned into slaves. And he is just not even mind your own business, right? Which would already be a silly thing to say. But it's mind your own beeswax. This is literally a war for their liberty. Mind your own beeswax. I love it. Commander, the enemies reached the palace. Block off the stairs, I'll go in. But why can't I fight? Don't be stupid. If they take you hostage, then our arms are tied. Very true. Very true. Very true. Please be safe, Princess Shuri. It's the guard. Oh, Princess, the garden we strolled through those times is now burning. Your Majesty, the dump where we hung out is ablaze. Mind your own beeswax, mind your own beeswax. The corners of the map are shining. Feel your courage slip away once you taste my vicious blade. What is bro cooking? Your Majesty, Princess Shuri! The war's going to be over, Brook. Aren't you happy? Guys, literally the thing we dreaded, that exact thing happened. And also, what the hell is that? Is that... Why does emu slash omen slash whatever the hell, why does it look so weird this time? That's a bird, Gorse. Oh! I'll be right back. I'll be right back. I'll think about this. I'm gonna go get water. I'll think about this. Hold on. All right, I've got many thoughts. I've got many thoughts. Many thoughts. I've got many thoughts. Number one, I didn't even think about this being a silhouette and potentially this being an entirely different elder. Because have we seen all the 5 elders in any of the super old flashbacks? I don't think we've seen all of them consistently. No, I think that's wrong. I think we have... No, not this far back. Because I just immediately jumped to it being like some kind of weird emu and some kind of omen thing. We've seen silhouettes in Okura. Oh my god, bro. You're right, I completely forgot about the clover thing. Hold up. Let's see. Okay, actually, let me go through all of my yappers. So, number one, the guy that she has clearly made a deal with, right? Like, whatever this guy is. Like, he's some kind of representative of the government. He is in a very different uniform that, I mean, it looks to be similar to what they have here. So I don't think there is any kind of situation where they adopted the clothes and everything of Hesperia. And also, going back to what I said, there is very, very weird... Like, Brook knew all of this? He saw all of this? Not to be rude, Brook, but this is something you should probably mention. That there is an eldritch being handing out power to your most loved little friends. What the hell is wrong with you? I don't know who the hell this guy's supposed to be, though. He could have just thought it was a weird Pokemon. This is what I mean. Whenever I'm talking about information asymmetry in One Piece. Brother, what the hell do you mean bro saw the whole thing? What the hell do you mean bro saw the whole thing? He's just hanging around. How the hell did he even survive? How did he get away from here? Jesus Christ. What? Huh? Also, why does he have horns? Why does the king also have horns? Did he also make a deal? But then why did she... Force dummy reversi? I mean, I guess he could have dummy reversi'd them and made them fight to see who's the strongest, and then the strongest gets recruited. Something like that. I am so confused. Because, like, obviously I expected everything to go wrong and for them to... I mean, there is no expectation. We know that happened, right? I did not expect Brooke just stepping into the room and seeing it just like that. Now, I do think this right here might be a situation where Brooke manages to hold him off with music. This right here might be a ginormous reveal in the very next chapter. We might see a situation where he's like, what was going on with you? And then he might start singing some kind of thing, and she's like, Brooke! And then they get yanked off right before they can fight. About my stocks from 2 weeks ago, the Shuri probably got seduced into power in order to impress Brooke. Yeah, that was a thing we entertained. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Yeah. Yeah. He said he saw Shuri kill her father. What did you expect? Something a little bit more ambiguous. Otherwise, perhaps you should have mentioned the Eldritch being. That's what I mean. I thought it was a situation where, like, it was unclear, so he suspected, like, she killed her father, and then everything went bad, and so, like, he left. He didn't say, I saw an eldritch being give them horns and, like, weird black flames and make weird magical portals, and then she killed her father. He didn't say that. You see how there's a big missing part? Look, imagine. You go to a friend's house. I actually, no, you know what? I don't think I can say that on YouTube. Okay, let me put it this way. Let me put it this way. You find a body and find another person, right? But the person has a shotgun. Whenever you're telling somebody that you found a body and another person, do you say, I found a body and a person? Or, there was a guy with a shotgun and a body? He didn't mention the shotgun! Like, what do you mean? There is a literal eldritch being in the room! Bro was stun-locked, maybe he didn't notice? He didn't notice the glowing eyes and horns on somebody he has basically raised since she was a baby? I think he would notice. Yeah, I am very, like... I'm very, very confused by how the world government even handled this whole situation, right? Because... I mean, I guess let's entertain this train of thought. So, the world government finds this island. They see that it is a land of music. It is far too powerful. It has far too much heart to ever bow down. They cannot win. So what they do is they resort to very, very dirty tactics. They release some kind of gas, some kind of mist to destroy their music, right? Even though they are currently paying up to the world government, they still sabotage them in order to weaken them. And then once they are weakened, they make this whole ultimatum of requiring slaves from them. And then once they know that's not going to happen, once they're already weakened, they go in and clean up the rest. So, step by step by step by step, they meticulously destroyed the whole island and wiped it out, just slightly differently to how they usually approach it. Because they couldn't have won head on. That's what makes the most sense to me. Maybe he just didn't talk about it because it's a touchy subject, and isn't his flashback him telling everyone now? Guys, I can promise you, if I saw a eldritch magical being kill my entire family in front of me, I would probably tell someone. This would probably not be a touchy subject, even though it would make me very sad. I would probably mention a magical demon. You think they ruined the island because they had the power to play the drum music of the gods? I think it's something like that, yeah. Because I find this whole sequence of events very, very interesting. Even the way it is revealed to us, right? It's that they showed up, then there's a little bit of wholesomeness, then they are like crippled in terms of what they could do with them losing their music, and then once they start losing like everybody that was important to them, they run out of the ability to pay the tribute, and then they are struck, right? Like that back to back to back to back seems like it's not destroying the people, it is destroying the hope. It took away their music, the thing that made them them. Oh yeah, also this whole thing, yeah, you're talking about it now. A celestial dragon showed up, then Kandel got bedridden, then Leuven marries her and Shuri is born. I don't think Leuven is the father. I do think there is a little bit of shadiness with the whole thing of he's out of my league and all that. I do think there are some shady things going on. I do think there are a few, shady implications going on. I'm also very, very confused by, the eye might be a giveaway. I see people saying that it's just heterochromia and it's just like a quirky detail. I don't buy it. I do not buy it for a character that is as important as this and is having a flashback of their own. I don't think the different eyes is just like a character detail or something to make the design unique. Like, I know Oda has 1,000 different characters with, like, at this point, like, they need to look similar because there are just too many characters, right? I don't think the eye is just a detail for a character. I don't buy it. I absolutely think it's something to do with something. Brook has the worst life in One Piece so far, losing everything, dying to revive again, only for him to be alone for 50 years. It's pretty bad, isn't it? It is pretty bad. I mean, we talked about it. I do think currently out of the whole crew, as weird as it sounds, like Luffy's and Zoro's flashbacks are the least miserable ones. Like, Zoro lost a close friend, and he doesn't have really a family, but, bro, he had, like, a whole dojo. He was raised into basically a man. I think he's doing mostly fine. And Luffy, like, yeah, Luffy, like, a kind of a weird dad, a little bit, you know, kind of a slightly weird grandpa, but he still had a home. He was still vibing. Literally everyone else? Whoops. My current theory is that either Leuven or Kandel was some kind of high-ranking officer in the world government who infiltrated the country but then found an appreciation for it. I don't know. Like, I find this whole thing... I am currently hinging all of my bets on the music idea. I am putting all of my stock on most of this being about music. I think that's pretty much where it starts and ends. Very sus. Very, very sus. Okay, before I forget, ranking time 1 to 10 in chat. One number, if you type multiple, you get discarded. 1 to 10, just the number, nothing else. 1 to 10. Do it now. It doesn't work multiple times. So don't do it. There's a stream delay, so I assume you're going to be finding out in a second. What do you think about the celestial dragon that was in Asperia that Brooke glosses over? I don't know, but I think it's suspect. I will say that. I'm not sure. I'm telling you, I'm very, very... I don't know what's going on with the world government. This whole flashback, like, we know where it starts and ends in terms of their goals and everything else, but I am very, very... confused about the means and how this whole thing transpires. Another 8. Another 8. I think we've had a few back-to-back 8s. I would say that this is a solid 8, yeah. I think a respectable 8. I love the fact that music is being played all throughout it, though. I think that's my favorite chapter of this, favorite part of this chapter. I do think, like, my big prediction for the finale of this whole ordeal is the fact that music is going to be the thing that carries Brooke through it. The bird demon is mythologically said to cause pestilence and illness. He's the god of the environment, so I think he caused the smog. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. But that's the chapter. Do we have a break next week? Is there a break next week, or are we going back to back? Huh? There's a break? Oda, why would you give me a flashback of one of the characters seeing the whole process, the whole thing, and then we go on a break? Could you not delay this chapter? Just like tell your guys, I know it's not that simple, but tell your guys, listen, we have 2-week break. 2-week break. 2 week. We delayed this chapter to next week, okay? And then we have 2 chapters back to back. I think it'd be a win-win. I'm so shocked and sad. I'm so shocked and sad. Nolan heard the Shen and Shandora and Bell before it's recruited. I believe music can tap into the voice of all things. I think the way we find out about the Void Sentry and everything is going to be through music. Especially now that this whole Brooke story is starting, I think like the whole mythos and the whole everything about the Void Sentry will be conveyed to us through music. Like we had the whole mural, right, which was already like a big thing of the old world, the current world, yada yada yada, right, and all these prophecies and everything. I think the Void Sentry is going to be a song. Something akin to like Binks' Sake or something. I think it's going to be artsy. I think there's going to be a lot left for the interpretation, but I think it's going to be a song. And I would very much like that. I think that would be goated. Frankly, I would not be surprised if the whole Poneglyph combination is a song. I've said this before, but the idea of music and dances and everything else being like a symbol of a population's resistance against an authoritarian power, like this is not an artsy thing, this is an actual thing that has existed for years and years and years and years and years, even in Latvian history as well. We have, these things. Vispārēja Latviešu dziesmu un deju svētki. That is like a whole festival. A very, very powerful beating heart of the country. Very true, very real. Void Century flashback has to happen, partly from a POV of Toki she gave from that time. I still think Toki is one of the weirdest characters Oda's ever written. Gotta be real with you. Still one of the weirdest things in Wano and generally everything. It's such a wacky thing to write in. It's such a wacky thing. Anyway, that's gonna be it for today. I'll be back in 2 days for the Sword Art Online game demo. Not tomorrow, on Tuesday. Probably around the same time. So, keep an eye out for that. And on Friday, there is the Mappa event, which allegedly should have details on something. Now, realistically, I don't think people should get their hopes up. Realistically, most of these events are always just about weird collabs. And it's nothing really super, super big. But, maybe. Maybe. So keep an eye out for that. Alright, that's it. Thanks a lot for joining me. And I'll see you back either this coming week or next time for One Piece in 2 weeks. God damn it, Oda. God damn it. Alright, that's it. Have a good one.